Hi, I'm Amber of the Little Research House, where we like to find joy in the little things in life. It brings me a lot of joy to work on little projects around our home, and we just wrapped up our big fireplace build right behind me here in our living room. We built a stone fireplace from scratch and added in some half-height built-in bookshelves on either side. I'll link the part 1 and part 2 videos of that build up above in the cards, so if you want to see that whole process, you can check those out. But for today's video, I thought it would be fun to share how I style the built-in shelves that surround the fireplace. If you like a good thrift haul, a little DIY, and a budget-friendly home, I think you're gonna like this video. So with all that said, let's get started. Okay, so it's about 4 o'clock on a work day, but I wrapped up all my work, so I have about an hour before I need to pick up my daughter from daycare, which means I think I'm gonna head to the thrift store. You may have seen I wrapped up our fireplace project, and I now have 2 beautiful built-in shelves on either side, which means I get to do the fun job of styling them. But I haven't rushed to do that because I want to be pretty intentional about what I'm putting on those shelves. First of all, I want it to look good. Second of all, I want it to be functional. And third of all, I don't want to spend an arm and a leg and put stuff on it just for the sake of stuff. So what I want to do, I think, is try and thrift and upcycle, try and use some of the things I already have, and so do it in an affordable way, but in a way that is still so beautiful and intentional. So before I head to the thrift store, I am going to browse my Pinterest inspiration that I've been saving over the past little bit and just see what kind of things I want to look for. I really like this example with a monochromatic look. It feels just very simple and soft. Alternatively, I also like a bit of warmth in the tones. I love the collected look of this example with the warm-toned books, some sculptural items, and plants. With these ideas in mind, what I'm looking for at the thrift store are some old or beautiful books, some little vessels or bowls, anything made of wood, ceramic, or stone, or even just with a nice shape that I can transform. I would love to find some bookends, but I know it can be tricky to find nice ones. And other than that, anything that catches my eye. I don't want a bunch of knick-knack pieces, but more so some solid statement pieces that are layered with beautiful, simple pieces. With all this in mind, I hit my local thrift store to see what I could find. Okay, I didn't have time after I left the thrift store yesterday to show you what I got, but today I'm going to show you I got some amazing treasures. So first of all, I got some great storage baskets, like this little cutie. This one's so cute. And this lidded storage basket. So it opens up. I think this is a really cute little basket and adds a little bit extra dimension with a different color. I also got a few vessels. So this little guy, this was $2, but the blue was 75% off. So it cost me 50 cents. So I think I'm gonna kind of paint this guy up a little bit. I also got this little vessel. It's a really cute shape. Oh, my favorite, I actually found bookends, which I am blown away at the fact I found bookends, and they're so cool. My husband actually loves these, so I'm really glad about those. And then I got a handful of books. This is just a vintage book, Furniture Doctor. So it's, let's see what year is this from? I love how these old books have people's names in them. This is 1962. So it just has like a pretty neutral colored spine. I found a few coffee table books. So Humans of New York, I actually already have this book, but it was $2 and I love it. This one is all about the Royal Alexandria Theater. But without the cover, it's just a beautiful black spine. So it's really great for styling, but not just books for the sake of styling, but this one actually has some really beautiful, cool old pictures in it. And finally, the Book of Canadian Antiques. So my husband and I love history, so same thing. I think we're gonna love looking through this. And without the cover, it also is a really cool colored book. It's like a nice orange, and in case you couldn't tell, we love orange around here. Just everything was a really great price. I got all of this decor and these items for a whopping $38 Canadian, which is such a steal. I'm excited to style them and put them to use. When it came time to actually do the styling, I decided to gather all the items I had collected together in one place. I laid out my new thrift finds, as well as some previously thrifted treasures, a collection of neutral books from our bookshelf, some faux plants, and some favorite framed photos. I will admit that styling an open shelf can be overwhelming, so I want to share with you a few tips I've picked up over the years that definitely help me when I do something like this. The first tip I have is to collect items that have a variety of textures, shapes, and finishes, but try to look for a few repeated visual components that will ensure they feel cohesive together. For example, I gathered a few different photo frames, but all of them were gold, or some baskets of varying sizes and weaves, but they all had a similar color tone. Those visual connections will go a long way in helping your items look more intentional. My second tip is to visually think outside the box with some of the more obscure objects. Remove dust jackets on books or turn them spine side in so you only see the pages, or think about how you could potentially paint certain items to neutralize the color, which I'll touch on again shortly. When it came time to actually start styling, I used maybe my favorite and third tip, which is to pre-group items together before placing them on the shelves. Play around with the groupings, paying consideration to the harmony between shapes and the size of items. Try some groups of 3 items and some groups of 2. Divide books into piles. This will help you visually decide how items and then eventually groupings can be spread out to look more visually balanced. By this point, I was ready to start arranging my groupings of objects on the shelves. I wanted my shelves to look collected and full but not cluttered. I worked away trying a few different placements, which leads me to my fourth tip: play, play, play. Allow yourself to try, move, change, try something different, or go back to the original. Once you find something that works, sit with it for a while and then play again. It will most likely not feel right on the first go. After sitting on the styling for a couple of days, I was pretty happy with the placement of items, but knew there were a few ways I could make the items I had work together a little bit more. I decided to do a few DIYs to spruce up what I had. I decided to paint a few of the thrifted vessels. I did the ceramic paint technique that you have probably seen every other DIY YouTuber do at this point, but in case you haven't, you basically add some baking soda to any type of spare paint you have, in my case some wall paint samples, and mix it until it's a foamy consistency. Then you simply paint it on, usually having to do a couple of coats to create a beautiful textured look. Once it completely dries, you can add some age to your painted pieces by, this is going to seem crazy, but mixing some dirt with water and brushing it on your piece. Allow it to dry slightly and then use a paper towel to remove the excess, and that's it. Obviously you wouldn't want to do this on a piece that will handle food, but for simple decor pieces like a vase with faux stems, the effect is beautiful. As a second DIY project, I decided I wanted to build another storage box that could conceal some items on the shelf. I didn't really have a plan for this, but I made a little drawing to capture my measurements before starting. I had a ton of scrap 3/4 inch plywood in my shop, so I simply used what I had to build a simple little box with no lid. I cut my pieces and assembled them together using wood glue and brad nails. I then filled all the nail holes and any imperfections in the plywood with spackling. I caulked the seams and gave it a quick sand before painting it a beautiful soft grayish tone. I used this chalk paint I had on hand by House and Canvas in the color Sandstone. I wanted to add a simple stylish element to the box and decided to drill a hole in the front of it that would fit a bolt I found in my shop. I spray painted the bolt head gold and used a scrap of faux leather to create a tab to act as a decorative pull. I finished the box by adding some felt pads to the bottom so it wouldn't scrape up my shelf when I go to slide it in and out. By this point, I had sat with my styling for a week or two, and every day I would play around with items, slightly adjusting them here and there. I think that styling really comes down to how something feels, so although there are great tips and formulas out there to help you get started, you really just have to adjust until it feels right, which is exactly what I did. Are you ready to see the result? Since I was trying to tackle this project on a budget, I thought I would wrap this up with a little breakdown on the total cost. I primarily used objects that I either already owned or thrifted specifically for this project. As you saw, I visited the thrift store and spent 38 Canadian dollars. Other than that, I purchased some faux plants to fill one of my vases for $8. I used a lot of books I already owned, other items I have thrifted in years past, and a box that I built out of supplies I already had on hand. So with all that said and done, styling 2 built-ins ran me under 50 Canadian dollars. I'm so happy with how these shelves turned out, and I'm sure they will evolve over time, but knowing that I could achieve the look I was after without buying a ton of new pieces just makes me so happy. If you liked this video, make sure you like it or leave a comment or maybe hit that subscribe button down below. Any support you give means so much to us and we really appreciate you joining us here at the Little Reeser House. And as always, just remember that the best things in life are often the little things, like learning how to style some shelves and making your space beautiful. Bye friends.